Okay. Good morning.
Okay, good. Yeah. So we're gonna talk about the
Dress
um
clothing and
yeah,
dressing.
okay.
And it's
Bobby,
ironic because I had a situation today. So
yes, I know. Go
um,
ahead.
you need to make sure that clothing appeals to the person if they still have a little bit of their right mind, especially if they were used to dressing, if they were in corporate America or whatever. You want to make sure that they understand that they still want to look good no matter what. They still want to have a good appearance.
Hmm.
So you dress your client accordingly. If they were used to wearing a lacy blouse or a nice suit, every now and then dress them that way, especially if you're going to go out somewhere. Let them feel pretty or let them feel handsome.
Mm-hmm.
um, I find that when I dress my client casually, she gets a little upset because she worked in corporate America and she was used to dressing very elegantly.
Hmm.
Um, and so today, she did not want to put on the slacks because it's a little cool here this morning. So I wanted to make sure that she was going to be warm. That's another thing with dressing them. You have to look at the weather.
Right.
If it's going to be cool, you may want to put a t-shirt or undershirt on them to help with the body heat because sometimes they tend to get cold.
Mm.
They'll let you know because you'll see them either shivering or you'll see them rubbing their arms or they're holding themselves. And if you ask them, are you cold? They're going to say yes. So the best thing to do, make sure you have a jacket or sweater. But if not, just dress them according to the weather. Also, if you find that something seems to be irritating them, uh, try to avoid that or put something next to their skin to stop that. Um, some people are allergic to different synthetics. They're allergic to different types of fabric.
Right.
So keep that in mind because if you notice that they are scratching or that they are breaking out into a rash, you may want to examine the clothing because some people say, oh, well, they're breaking out because they ate something. Or it may be the clothing that they're wearing.
Right.
So you need to check that too. Also, when you're washing their clothes, in my case, I do not use fabric softeners. They have alternatives to fabric softeners. I find that when you put the fabric softener on the clothes, that tends to really even cause a different type of feel. They say it makes it soft. It may make it soft, but it also causes the irritation for my client. They have these little balls that you can get to put in the dryer that will help soften the clothes without putting any chemicals on them. Again, every client is different, but you need to observe these things because if you're wondering why your client is being irritable or doesn't want to put something on or whatever, they know what makes them feel comfortable and not.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when they don't feel comfortable, they're going to make life a little harder for you. Um, when you try to put something on them that they don't like, they may decide to be a little combative. Then put it aside, get something else out. Don't, I used to tell everybody, pick your battles. Don't make a struggle out of it if it's not necessary. If
Right.
they're not going to put that particular shirt on or they don't want to put that particular pair of pants on, put them aside and get something else. Make your day easier than complicating it by trying to find or trying to make them wear what you selected. If they still have the ability, put a couple items out and say, which one would you like to wear? And let them point to it. And then gives them the chance to be a little independent. And again, it depends on the stage of dementia.
Right.
But some of them now, like she can still zip up her pants. She can still button her shirts.
Right.
Those things that they still can do, I let them do. It makes them feel important.
Right.
She can't tie her shoes, but she can still put the shoe on. So I let her put the shoe on, and then I just bend down and tie it for her. We'd also have shoes that she could just slip her foot in. So again, when you're dressing the client, make sure that it's something that they can handle also. It gives them that feeling of independence and importance. I did that myself and give them praise.
Mhm.
Whenever she does it, I say, oh, you buttoned it, and it's right, because she tends to have the buttons crooked. And if she has buttoned it correctly, you know what? You did a fantastic job this morning. I am so proud of you.
Mhm.
And she'll have a big smile on her face.
Mhm.
So you can make life a lot simpler for yourself if you make it a game. Okay, let me see if you can button the pants by yourself, or
Mhm.
let me see if you can pull them up without my help. If you make it a game, it gets to the point, if you do it repetitiously,
Mhm.
that they will understand, oh, this is something I can do, and they will do that for you.
Mhm.
It makes life a lot easier, believe me, it
Mhm.
does. So again, back to the clothing. When it gets colder weather, uh, layer the clothes, because it depends on where you're going to be. You may have to take something off if it gets too warm for them, especially if you're taking them out to maybe a doctor's appointment or whatever.
Mhm.
Put clothes on that's going to be easy to manipulate. If they
Mhm.
have to take the shirt off, then do a button down one instead of one that you have to pull over their head.
Mhm.
You want to make things a little easier for yourself as
Mhm.
well as the doctor or wherever you happen to be going.
Mhm.
Don't don't try to make sure that everything matches. It doesn't have to. Um, if you have to put on a polka dot top with striped pants because that's what's available at the time, or that's what they picked out and they want to wear, let them do it.
Mhm.
You may say, oh, I thought polka dots and stripes, they don't go together. But
Mhm.
if that's what makes them happy and you see a smile on their face, do it. It's going to make life simpler. You want to make sure that they're happy and you're happy. If they're happy, you're going to be happy because you don't have the conflict.
Mhm.
Just when it comes to dressing and clothing, uh, just make sure that they're comfortable. That's the most important thing.
Mhm.
My client has to wear depends, but she doesn't like that word depends.
Mhm.
I don't know whether that has a negative connotation to her, that she has to depend on someone or whatever. So we call them pull-ups.
Mhm.
So when I say, oh, can you pull it up? And she will pull them up herself. I
Mhm.
say, okay, we got to step out your pull-up. And she's fine. So that she understands that word. She knows what that means. And she doesn't get offended. And I have a feeling something about the word depends bothers her. So we don't use that word at all.
Mhm.
You will know if there's certain things that you say that will upset them. But when it comes to clothing, like I said, make it comfortable, make it something that can be fun,
Mhm.
something that can be a cooperative or collaborative venture where the two of you are working together instead of working against each other.
Mhm.
Any questions about dressing and clothing?
Yeah, so you mentioned the dress up. So for the female, we have so many kinds of clothing, outfit,
Mhm.
all that. So do you feel more easier to wear one, like a dress, so it's just one from head to toe, or you prefer like half that
I
bottom
I
and
al-
top?
I alternate. And same thing with her um, nightwear. Sometimes I put pajamas on her, sometimes a nightgown. It depends on just how her attitude. If she doesn't mind something coming over her head, I'll put the nightgown on her. If she's being a little combative, then we'll put the pajamas on so that can be buttoned, and that way I can give her something to do. Hopefully that will calm her down and she won't be so fussy. But the same thing with the clothes. If you feel that something going over the head is going to be fine,
Mhm.
that's okay. But the same thing, I mean, with the male, if they're being combative because you're pulling a t-shirt over their head,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
uh, then maybe instead of doing a t-shirt, just put a shirt on them
Mhm.
and then make sure that they have a jacket or something to keep them warm. But if they're getting upset because something is being pulled down over their head, then stop, because that's only going to cause more problems. And that's I've learned with her. If she's in the mood that she doesn't want something to come over her head, then I just don't do it.
Yeah, I think for dress it's like sometimes, so that's why we mentioned it's easier for the shirt and bottom, so that way
Mhm,
it's easier to control. But when you have to go over the head, things like
mhm.
that kind of become more complicated.
It can be a little more complicated when you're trying to put something over their head. Yeah. Uh, I have a feeling it's something that makes them feel either claustrophobic or they're feeling like you're trying to smother them. You don't know what's going through their head at the
Right,
time, but they
exactly.
don't want anything coming over their face.
Mhm,
So if you see that, then just use shirts that
mhm,
button or zip. And that's another thing that she loves to play with zippers. So, I mean, that's why
mhm,
I'll put pants on her that have zippers and I let her zip it up. She likes to do that.
mhm,
Um, she likes the hooks as opposed to the buttons. So if the pants have a hook on them, I let her hook it. She
mhm,
struggles a little bit with the buttons, but she likes to do it herself. So I give her as much privilege to do things as I
mhm,
can. But if it's starting to take a little bit of time and we're in a hurry or
mhm,
whatever, I have to get her ready for a doctor's appointment, then I have to take over
mhm.
and do it just to make sure that we can get it done in a timely manner. But let them participate. It makes all the difference in the world. It gives them
Right.
something to do. It makes them feel useful.
Mhm. How about other client you have? Did they have a same different teacher with the dressing?
Now,
Yep.
the other clients I had full-blown Alzheimer's, so it didn't matter. They don't understand. So you're just dressing them according to what you feel is best for them. But with dementia, because of the different stages, they
Mhm,
still are cognizant of some of the things you're doing. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention
mhm,
to things that irritate them and things that don't. Um, Again, cotton t-shirts. They may not like a cotton t-shirt, so you may have to get the synthetic ones that are imitation silk or whatever. You just have to use a little bit of observation to see what works.
hmm. I see. So,
Hmm.
when you need to dress them like very really dressy, like do you ever wear like like when we go like very dressy kind of dress, do you able to handle that? Or
Yeah, the daycare that she goes to had a senior prom
right, and we'll mention
about
about that.
3 weeks ago, and they were
Right.
all dressed up for the prom.
Mhm,
And actually, it made her, I think, feel really important. She actually was posing. We have pictures of her posing and smiling. So I think having her dressed up like that, oh, and the daycare actually had polished all their nails for all the women. So she has these pretty polished nails, and she was all dressed up, and I had fancy earrings on her,
mhm,
and it made all the difference. She acted completely different.
hmm,
So every now and then, especially like Sunday afternoon, if we're going to go for a ride or
mhm.
something after church service, yeah, just dress her up a little bit and put something on her that makes her feel, fancy because she's in casual clothes all week.
And how
And
about the makeup? Like
now
we'll
I
put
don't do
down a
makeup with her.
lipstick.
I do the earrings for when we're going. I don't do earrings on a daily basis because she just pulls them out.
Oh,
We've lost more earrings where we lose one because she's pulled it out. We lost the backing. We don't know where it is.
mhm,
So I don't do the earrings during the week. But if we're going to dress up or go somewhere,
mhm,
yeah, then I'll put the earrings on her. I'll even put maybe a bracelet on her to make her feel dressy.
mhm,
The same thing with the shoes. We'll have casual shoes like tennis shoes or whatever during the week. But on those days, we'll have a pair of her slip-ons that make her, feel a little more fancy.
hmm.
But those are the type things I don't try to put hosiery on her or anything like that. We just use socks. And I have lace socks that I use for the fancier ones. So we put the lace socks on her, just like you do with the little girls, how you have the little frilly lace socks. I do that. But during the week, just regular socks so that there's a distinction between every day and something special.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess the dressing is more depending on the what your client mostly would need, and then you'll be fitting
Right.
for the weather and all that.
It depends, like I said, the weather and like I said, what stage of dementia they have, because they may be able to really do a lot for themselves. I mean, if you open the closet and say, okay, pick out what you'd like to wear today, you'd be surprised at what they might might select. So, like I said, stripes and polka dots are not my favorite, but if that's what she wants to wear, I
Mhm,
let her wear it. So it's again the stage of dementia will determine
mhm,
what they can really do. If they're into full-blown Alzheimer's, you can put anything you want on them. They don't know and they don't care. As long as they're warm and as long as you have made them feel comfortable. That's all that meant. That's all that matters.
Just to kind of talk about, not really about dressing, is you mentioned about his young onset dementia, right? So isn't the third stage is more progressive? What's your opinion about that?
Yeah. So right now, my client is in stage 3.
Right.
So she has days where she's very lucid and she understands. And then there are days where she has no recollection of anything. And then it changes from minute to minute, because 1 minute she can be understanding what you're saying, and the next minute I use the term la la land. She's over in la la land. She has no idea what's going on. A good example is she wanted to sit in the floor. And I'm saying, why are you sitting in the floor? I actually videoed it. And I said, well, you're taking your socks off. What you going to do with the socks? And she threw one at me. I said, why are you throwing the socks at me? And she just looked at me with a blank look on her face. Well, I said, no, you have to get up. And when I tried to get her up, she started crawling like a baby across the floor. So, I mean, I really had to literally use body strength to actually lift her up, because she's not a small person.
Yeah.
But the whole idea is there are different stages, and depending on the stage, that determines how much you can do and how much you can let them do.
I see.
All
right, then. Thank you so much, Bobby.
You're welcome.
We'll look forward to see you next time.
All right.
Okay,
Take care.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so put my handicap stick up and let's try to get back through here.
I like to have that.
What? That?